So is President Trump an isolationist, someone who craves peace, or is he truly an imperialist president? Let's find out. Hello everybody, my name is Stavros. I'm a professor of international relations and an advocate for democracy. You're with me on Black Flag Media. We speak the truth here, the way we see it, not the way some people would like to present it. So in that regard, I would like to truthfully talk a little bit about Donald Trump, his first term, and what do we think is going to happen from this point onward, because this is a president who truly, he has been advocating for stopping wars and that he doesn't want to be included in wars abroad. But truth be told, he is interested in targeted assassinations, the way that he took out the leader of ISIS, Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, the way that he assassinated the leader of the Quds Force of Iran, Iran's Revolutionary Guards, Qasem Soleimani. At the same time, he didn't take the US from the various conflicts around the world. He set the stage for the deal that Biden made at the end with the Taliban, but Trump wasn't the one that took out the troops from the country. So yes, he was against interventions, he was against new wars. He didn't do any new war, he didn't initiate it. But let's try and find out what his outlook is going to be, because he's talking about many things that are truly imperialistic, but interestingly, he's targeting the allies of the US. So it seems like the first target in this president's appetite is Europe, other traditional allies of the so-called Western Alliance. Obviously, I'm talking about Canada. The president mentioned that he would like to have Canada as the 51st state. Then he talked about Greenland. This is a dominion of the Kingdom of Denmark, and he would like to take this from Denmark, by paying Denmark, or if that doesn't work, he said that the military option is still on the table. Again, Denmark is a traditional ally of the US, a member of NATO. Even really imperialistic stuff. You think about it. Also, he mentioned Panama, another interesting development regarding control of the central part of the Americas. So he is mentioning some things that are really interesting. Also, domestically, he's really empowered this time around, right? So we see him, pushing forward his anti-immigration agenda, controlling the border agenda. He has been successful in that regard. There were some problems in his in the first presidential executive orders that he signed. Specifically, I'm talking about the birthright citizenship that he tried to block. But unfortunately for him and his policies, the amendment, the 14th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution clearly states that anybody who is born in the U.S. becomes naturalized as a citizen. So a federal court blocked this executive order altogether. It seems that some other of his ideas and executive orders will proceed, but some of them will be blocked. And because he is empowered this time around, he will just blame corrupt people wearing the cloth, meaning justices, and he will just blame them, crazy loonies, as he calls them, Democrats on the bench, and he will just galvanize the base, rally his allies, and he will strike in different areas. I think this is what we're going to be seeing from this point onward. Interestingly, it seems that he really wants the US to be a superpower, but not a benign one. So he wants to abandon the so-called liberal beacon of the West narrative of the US after the 1945 establishment of international relations and organizations. After the end of World War II, the US created these institutions like the UN, the World Bank, the World Trade Organization, the International Monetary Fund, all of these organizations. But according to Trump's view of the world right now, he still wants to, America first, obviously. He wants to be the dominant force globally, but he doesn't want to be constrained from these constraints. These are shackles of the past, according to this ideology. So his new ideology is, we don't want norms, we don't want political correctness, we don't want the bureaucracy. We want to unleash American greatness, go to the Mars, and we need to dominate. So the same time that other forces in the world are trying to create a multipolar world, such as China, Russia, other countries from the BRICS alliance, this is a U.S. president who wants to recreate the U.S. as a hegemon in a unipolar world. Let's see if this happens. But at his inaugural speech, I have here in my notes, he said that we're taking back the Panama Canal, for instance, because we must be a growing nation. We need to increase our wealth and expand our territory. This is really imperialistic. This is really not isolationist. This is expansionist, aggressive foreign policy, clearly expressed by the president of the U.S. Interestingly, he decided to rename a mountain. He did two renamings first day in the job. Firstly, he renamed the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, and then he renamed a mountain in Alaska. He renamed it McKinley Mountain from the U.S. President McKinley, who was really an imperialist. He added Hawaii, Guam, and the Philippines and Puerto Rico to American territory. So he is being inspired, it seems clearly, by this president. McKinley was a president who loved tariffs. He raised tariffs to 50%. And he was backed at the time by major bankers and financiers such as J.P. Morgan, John D. Rockefeller, donated more than $80 million at the time to McKinley's campaign. So this is, I guess, a person with many parallels to Trump's vision, I guess, being backed by the super elite, the super rich, and then expanding. That's what he's saying. Trump is talking about the golden age, and McKinley was talking about the Gilded Age. So you can see the parallels here. But again, expanding. Expansion is not isolationism is what we should be aware and mindful moving forward. Also, he's emboldened and empowered because the Supreme Court is being controlled by his allies. He appointed and controls, conservative speaking, conservative individuals, conservative justices. Many people would say that he has control of the Supreme Court. His allies control the Supreme Court. Remember, the Supreme Court decided that the president has immunity from official acts, also strengthened him. He's strengthened because this time around he does know his way around Washington. He doesn't care that much because he's not going to run any ever again for office. So that's that. This is his last chance of doing something. So yes, he seems that after the World War II and the global status or system that was founded mainly by the U.S., he doesn't like that anymore. He doesn't appreciate international law. He doesn't appreciate international ethics. He feels that they should, that they shouldn't be, that these constraints should not stop the U.S. from, enter into profitable partnerships, bully people around, such as Denmark or other countries. And a major point here is this idea that he has in foreign policy, transactionalism. Everything is a transaction with Donald Trump. He wants quid pro quo. What are you going to give me for me to keep doing this, or for me to do that, or for me to help you? And he's doing that to both allies and adversaries alike. This is interesting. I guess the idea here is that, nobody should know what the U.S. is going to do next. So he wants to be unpredictable, chaotic even. He is not crazy, but no one should be too confident about what the U.S. might do next under Trump. This is the idea of transactionalism, keeping people and countries and leaders off balance so they should be treating carefully when dealing with Washington. And their allies should think twice about free riding on U.S. and U.S. military aid. Adversaries should think twice about challenging the U.S. Because the U.S. may target them with economic or military sanctions. He has been saying that both against China but also against Russia. He's trying to bully Russia into a deal in Ukraine. He has been saying all the time the past week that I would like to have peace. Obviously, it's going to be my peace, my way or the highway. If Putin doesn't like that, I would target him with more sanctions. I would put tariffs in any product that comes to the U.S. from Russia. So he's trying to bully his way around Russia as well. He's trying to create a unipolar world through bullying, intimidation, both again against his adversaries and against his allies. The problem with transactionalism is that it is really ambiguous and vague, and this can be misinterpreted many times from both allies and adversaries. It may backfire, and I'm really afraid that this will backfire for the U.S. I'm skeptical that, especially during peacetime, being this belligerent, aggressive, and in trying to grab power, land and routes and what have you, it will only backfire. Maybe create stronger alliances from your adversaries, or maybe even alienate your own allies as well. So it seems that the isolationist policy or approach, whatever we thought that was supposed to happen, it's not what this presidency is going to be around this time around. So we're seeing Trump being really, really aggressive verbally, but also substantially. Essentially, we see this happening with these threats. At the same time, domestically, I think he is trying to be an imperialist as well. He's trying to expand the powers of the executive. Every president has been doing this in the past. We have seen this in the past, and some peacetime presidents, they were forced to be interventionists. Woodrow Wilson was the epitome of peace, but he was forced into participating somehow in World War I in supporting Europe. And then, Franklin Roosevelt also clearly detested war, as he was stating, but he had to push the U.S. into World War II. So many peacetime presidents were forced into, getting into conflicts. But essentially, the problem is that this is a president who's trying to strengthen himself both domestically, but also he's trying to project America first, which is an intervention, expansionist approach. Increasing the wealth and the territory of the U.S. means somebody's going to lose. And he begins, by getting some chunks from his allies. It seems that this is going to be easier for him. But let's see how his allies respond to that. Let's see how EU can respond to that. The EU is weakened right now. We have President Macron is weakened. He lost any possible election. The Chancellor of Germany, Olaf Scholz, is an outgoing chancellor. Everybody's weakened. He has allies in Europe, like Meloni in Italy, Orban in Hungary, and Fico in Slovakia. So he has some allies. His enemies are weakened. Let's see if these people find the power, the strength, the spine to basically raise a different voice, both inside NATO or globally. And this is it for today, guys. I would like to thank you for watching this video. If you did like this video, like and subscribe. There's going to be more videos like this coming, analysis, I would say. So keep raising the flag, keep raising the black, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you. I'd say from a political science perspective, we're waiting to see both how allies of the West respond to that, how the enemies of Washington respond. Like we saw how Putin and Xi are trying to coordinate the reaction to this imperialist president, but also we're trying to see how domestic politics work in the U.S. We have both the courts and the bureaucracy. Congress is being controlled in a way by the Republicans. Let's see if that sticks. But the bureaucracy has some major ways to delay actions and executive initiatives by the president, but also the court. So let's see if that sticks. I guess we're trying to see whether the so-called checks and balances in the U.S. Constitution will stick. If they don't, this will be a really empowered and strengthened president, and we'll see what happens globally.